Welcome to sketching parabolas using intercepts and the vertex. So the steps to sketch a parabola are, firstly we're going to find the y-intercept. So that's when x equals 0. So we're going to sub 0 in wherever there is an x value. We then find the x-intercepts. We do that when y equals 0. So we're going to sub 0 in for y. And for parabolas, we're going to have to use PSF to solve a quadratic. And then finally, we're going to find the vertex. And we know the vertex is the turning point. So we can find this. Our first way of finding this is that the x value is halfway between the x-intercepts. And we get the y value for the vertex from substituting the x value into the quadratic. All right, so let's have a look at some examples. So the first one we're going to look at is y equals x squared minus 6x plus 8. So step 1, find the y-intercept, so where it cuts the y-axis. So that's when x equals 0. And you can see I've subbed in 0 where x is. So y equals 0 squared minus 6 times 0 plus 8. And if you put that on your calculator, you get y equals 8. So that tells us that this parabola crosses the y-axis when y is 8. Now let's find the x-intercepts. Well, that's when y is 0. So we get 0 equals x squared minus 6x plus 8. Now we've learnt in the past that to factorise a quadratic, we can use PSF. There are other methods, but we'll use PSF for this one. So product has to equal to 8. The sum is minus 6, so that gives us our factors of minus 4 and minus 2. So if we follow the steps, we get two brackets of x minus 4 and x minus 2, giving us values of x is 2 or 4. So this is where the parabola crosses the x-axis at 2 and 4. Now note, our parabola was a positive x squared, so it's concave up. So we could actually see this straight away. Notice that it passes on the x-axis at 2 and 4. And you'll notice that it passes the y-axis at 8. They're the values that we got. Now let's go and get the vertex. So even though we've sketched this, it's important that we know exactly where it turns. So to find the vertex, the x value is halfway between the x-intercepts. And our x-intercepts were 2 and 4. And halfway between 2 and 4 is 3. So the y value comes from when, by substituting x equals 3 into our quadratic. So we get y equals 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 8. So using our calculator, we get y equals minus 1. And there you have it. So that's the only addition that we made to the parabola that we sketched before. Pass through y equals 8 on the y-axis. Pass through x equals 2 and 4 on the x-axis. And the turning point is 3 across minus 1 down. That's our vertex. All right, let's have a look at a second parabola. So this parabola we're going to do is y equals minus x squared. So automatically that tells you it's concave down, plus 4x. So we find the y-intercept when x is 0. So we get minus 0 squared plus 4 lots of 0. So y equals to 0. So this is where the parabola crosses the y-axis at y equals 0. So you'll note x equals 0, y equals 0. That happens to be the origin. And we'll look at that when we go to sketch it. Find the x-intercepts. So that's when y equals 0. So 0 equals minus x squared plus 4x. Now we don't need to use PSF for this one because we take out a common factor. And we take the x out the front. X outside of minus x plus 4. So that means that x equals 0. And when we solve minus x plus 4 equals 0, we get x equals 4. So our parabola is going to cross the x-axis at 0 and 4. Now we're going to sketch this first without finding the vertex, just so we can see what it looks like. Remember, it's concave down. So there's our graph. Passing when x is 0, x is 4, and passing when y is 0. So you can see it does pass at the origin, so crosses through the origin. Okay, let's go and find that important point where it turns, that vertex. So the vertex is halfway between the x-intercepts. So halfway between x equals 0 and x equals 4 is 2. And then we substitute that x equals 2 into the quadratic. So minus 2 squared plus 4 times 2 gives us y equals 4. And you can see that that's the same as what we did before, with the graph being concave down, passing at 0 and 4 for x, passing at 0 for y. But now we've added the vertex, our turning point. It's 2 across, 4 up. Final one, y equals x squared plus 6x plus 9. So we find the y-intercept when x equals 0. So 0 squared plus 6 times 0 plus 9. Y equals 9. Parabola crosses the y-axis at y equals 9. Find the x-intercepts. So when y equals to 0. So 0 equals x squared plus 6x plus 9. So using PSF, our product's 9, our sum's 6. So we end up with 3 and 3. So our brackets are 0 equals x plus 3, x plus 3. So we only have one value, x equals minus 3. So this is a special case because it can't cross through minus 3 because it then can't come back up. So it has to actually bounce off the x-axis at minus 3. And that's how we draw this one. So concave up, because it was a positive x squared, bounces off at minus 3. Now, I think you can see from there what the vertex is, but let's go and do the vertex anyway. So the vertex halfway between the x-intercepts, well, we only had one x-intercept, that was minus 3. And we find where it crosses the y-axis, or the y value, by substituting in x equals minus 3. And we do minus 3 squared plus 6 times minus 3 plus 9, and we get 0. And you can see the point minus 3, 0 is on the x-axis. And that's where it bounces off, like we discussed before. Concave up, passes through, notice it passes through the y-axis at 9, and it bounces off the x-axis at minus 3. Thank you.